Welcome back, everybody. As always, John Huddleston and myself outfitted with original elephant wear from the Locker Room, located on the University Strip, just right up from our studio. Original elephant wear is the rage in Tuscaloosa, and why not? Show your Alabama spirit in style. The Locker Room is a Tuscaloosa tradition, having been around for 46 years. What's that tell you? Well, it tells you they know how to treat their customers. Go see Alex and Rush and the company at the Locker Room Monday through Saturday, or look them up online. You can even check their inventory out and order online. So no matter where you live, you can be outfitted in original elephant wear from the Locker Room. John?
And Gary, our next guest this morning is best known as the play-by-play voice for Alabama football, but through his storied career, he's also broadcast ice hockey, NASCAR, NFL football, arena football, served as a local sports anchor at one of those other stations, as well as a call-in radio host. This morning we say good morning to Eli Gold. He joins us live here on the set.
But you've never been on Crimson Tide Kickoff until now.
I have not. This is a first.
So this is history making
this morning. I'm sorry it's taken all season for us to get together. I watch, but I just haven't had a chance to get into the studio. So
well, we saved the best for last.
Very nice. There'll be a little something extra in your envelope this week. Thank you.
Well, let's go ahead and start talking about this season. Just run it down for us as a whole, and just your evaluation. High hopes entering the season, 2 losses, but I guess when you look back on it, this was probably realistically speaking.
Probably so. I mean, when you have, all you need to do is look at so much of last year's team is playing on Sunday. I mean, it is what college football is all about, that natural rotation. So no, I wasn't terribly surprised, and let's be realistic too. And I know it's difficult because everybody that bleeds crimson and white wants to see the team go 12-0 every season. But Bama has lost 2 games now in the same time span that many teams have lost 6, 8, 10, or 12. It's not exactly like we're talking about a team made up of chopped liver here.
Right.
This is still a darn good football team. And as you were just saying, could still, with the right dominoes falling in the right spots, end up in the BCS. So it's not been a bad year. In some instances disappointing, but not bad at all.
Eli, probably more than anything, it's just a victim of expectations. When everybody expects you to go undefeated and you lose a couple, it's easy to say, well, they didn't have a good year.
And that's why Nick Saban always says you've got to manage your expectations. Right. Not that I'm here to mimic what he says, but it's true. I mean, and when you take a look at a team that lost 9 starters, on defense, you are looking at a major rebuilding situation, especially when you had guys coming in the case of a D. Milliner and a Daquan Menzie, who were absolute true freshmen, filling in for some guys who are now playing in the National Football League. There has to be there's a natural drop-off. Look at Texas. Last night losing, their first losing season now in the longest time. It happens in college football.
Let's talk about on-the-field matchups, and there are a lot of good ones, but specifically Auburn's high-powered offense, 43 points a game. Against an Alabama defense that probably hasn't gotten enough credit. When you look at the way points are being scored around the country, they're only giving up 12.8 a game.
Exactly. People tend to overlook that sometimes, and I understand that. People are selective often when they look at this element of the game, that element of the game. There are today classic battles of strength versus strength. Can Bama stop that man right there, Cam Newton? Can they slow him down? Nobody's going to stop him. No one's going to stop him. But you can't let him get to where he just got right there. You can't let him into the end zone. You can't let him run wild. You've got to keep your cool. He's going to get his yards. Just don't let him dissect you throughout the course of the day.
Eli, because you're the voice of Alabama football and you're so close to the program, you've probably gotten to know Coach Saban a little bit better than us, the typical media member. Just talk a little bit about what he's like off the field. Is he a little bit more relaxed when you get him that one-on-one setting?
Well, yes and no. Yes and no.
He's intense all the time, right?
He's intense.
Yeah.
He is the most focused gentleman I have ever seen. There's no question. Let's start with that premise. But last week, granted it was the Georgia State game, before the game I was sitting in the locker room with him and we were talking about, different aspects of building franchises. We talked about Bill Curry, and I said, I don't care if you're building a Tiddlywinks team in your native West Virginia. And he stopped me, he goes, wait a second. He says, don't pick on, we got some good Tiddlywinks teams in West Virginia. And this was 2 hours before the game. I was sitting in the locker room with him. So that was rare, though. Yeah. He is usually wound very tightly. but he's never rude. People always ask me, what's it like to work with the man? I say it's different because he's so focused, but different doesn't make it wrong. Different just makes it different. He is never rude, and when he and I sit down, whether it's at a speaking engagement, whether it's to tape a pregame or something, I have his undivided attention, and that's wonderful. But don't ask him a silly question either.
Right.
You know, he'll let you in a nice way know about it.
Eli, you know about television. We're down to 30 seconds, and you've got a book that details your career, but it's still an amazing story how someone from Brooklyn, New York becomes the voice of NASCAR and Alabama football, two of the most Southern traditions. And, of course, we haven't mentioned the fact that you're a restaurateur as well, but what an amazing career
I've
for
been
you.
very, very lucky. Yeah, Nino's in Pelham is our new Italian restaurant. But, you know, this is just a reversal of the late, great Mel Allen from Bessemer, Alabama, along with his buddy Red Barber from Columbus, Mississippi, who became the voices of the New York Yankees. You just never know in this business what's going to happen, and you got to just roll with it and give yourself the best odds of succeeding. And I've been lucky to end up right here as the voice of the Tide.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing you for many more years. Thank you, Eli.
Thanks, John. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Eli. Always a pleasure.
My
Still
pleasure.
to come on Crimson Tide Kickoff, will he stay or will he go? Heisman Trophy winner Mark Ingram talks about his future and the NFL Draft. You're watching Crimson Tide Kickoff presented by AT&T and Alpha Insurance. We're back in just 2 minutes. Well, for Alabama running back Mark Ingram, this could be his final game in Bryant-Denny Stadium today. The Heisman Trophy winner could possibly go pro following this season. Now, Nick Saban usually advises his players after all the games are played, and Mark doesn't want to talk about it until that time.
I'm not really thinking about that right now at all. After the season, I'll sit down with Coach and my family, and we'll decide what's best. But right now, my main focus is on beating Auburn.
And don't go anywhere. You're watching Crimson Tide Kickoff, and we're counting down the minutes till Iron Bowl 2010. Our guest prognosticator coming up next.
The 75th Iron Bowl, just hours away. CBS will have the television. There you see, John and I both like the Tide to roll in what could be a classic matchup.
And right now, we're joined by meteorologist Richard Scott. Is the rain going to stop by kickoff? That is the question.
Yeah, actually starting to look better for kickoff terms. We might still have a little bit of mist out there. We'll talk about that. Of course, your kickoff forecast is looking chilly. We're talking temperatures falling to the lower 40s, maybe in upper 30s in the game. A few light sprinkles, a little mist out there. No heavy rain for the game. That's good news. The heavy rain's gone. Of course, it's looking good, Johnny Gary.
All right, guest prognosticator time. First of all, I want to mention a couple weeks ago we had Alex Gatewood on from the locker room. I meant to give him his props. He went undefeated.
Wow.
Undefeated.
That's a challenge.
And our guest picker this morning, State Representative from District 62, John Merrill. Also, what are the odds that two graduates of Cleveland County High School would be sitting up here live television on a Saturday morning?
Two graduates from Cleveland County High School.
Yeah, period.
That's right. That's right.
If we had more time, I'd get you to tell us about how you used to take Gary out in basketball, right?
Well, it wouldn't take him long.
I don't want to embarrass him.
It wouldn't take him long because I schooled him just like it was nobody's business.
He only gave up like 8 inches.
Oh, my goodness. All right, let's get into the picks now. Florida at Florida State.
Florida at Florida State, I have to go with the Seminoles. I have to go with the Seminoles because the Gators have had a very poor year, and I just cannot imagine them going to Tallahassee and winning this one.
Well, you know, when you play for a golden egg, it's on. I mean, you got the Egg Bowl between Mississippi State and Ole Miss and Oxford on Saturday.
Well, I feel like even though they have to travel, Mississippi State is playing some of the best ball they played in several years. I can't imagine them going to Oxford and losing, knowing that they are trying to establish themselves as the dominant program in the state of Mississippi.
South Carolina at Clemson. Do the Gamecocks get caught looking ahead to the SEC championship?
Well, I think, John, obviously that is a opportunity that they don't want to lose, is losing momentum going into the game with Auburn next week. But then again, this is a big day for Clemson, so I'm going to go with the Tigers.
And LSU and Arkansas.
LSU and Arkansas and Little Rock at War Memorial. I have to believe that Arkansas is trying to send a message, and LSU may be looking ahead to a BCS bowl game, and this could very well eliminate them. So I'm going with the Hogs.
All right, the big one, number 2 Auburn at number 9 Alabama today. Who you got?
How can you go against the Tide?
I know.
Got
there
to go
you
with
go.
the Tide. 31-28, Alabama.
It was pretty obvious when you came walking in with your Alabama shirt. So
yes, sir.
His constituents are happy.
And no doubt about it.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you, John. Thank you, Gary. And thank you for watching Crimson Tide Kickoff all season long. It's been a great show, and we've got some more stuff coming up that we're going to be telling you about in the coming weeks. Thanks for watching. For Gary Harris, I'm John Huddleston. Have a great day, everybody.
Enjoy the game.
Bye.